Oh, that's funny. All right, welcome back to the ship here live. We are on Radio Road Day 3. Darren Smith with you, KLKC Fox Sports Radio. And of course, I have with me, some will call him the resident Chiefs hater. I call him a Detroit Lions homer. Joining me on Radio Row is one half of the Odd Couple host, Mr. Rob Parker. Rob, thank you so very much. As always, he is a Hall of Fame journalist, especially from the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. First of all,
what's up, buddy?
not much. You are on Radio Row once again, doing your show this week for Fox Sports Radio. This obviously never gets old, but how many of these have you done so far?
You know what? I've never counted. I need to do it. It's funny. I was here in, what was it, 2002 or 3 was it, when Brady and the Patriots won here in New Orleans?
2003. Yeah.
So that was what, 22 years ago? I was here for that.
Nice.
I covered that Super Bowl. Can you believe that?
I can't.
I know, it's crazy because
you're a reporter.
I'm in year 39 of my covering sports in the media. 39 years. It's incredible. So I've been to a lot. I just don't know the exact number.
Now guess how many years I've been covering the Chiefs. Oh, guess when I started covering the Chiefs.
When was that?
1994, my sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
So it'd be 31 years now.
Yeah, I remember 1994. I got my first radio show in Detroit on WDFN, the first all sports station in Detroit. And I was 30 years old, 30 years old.
Started when I was 15. So.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, my basketball coach was like, Darren, in case sports don't work out for you, I'm going to get you an intern. He called up the sports director of our black station in Kansas City who played for him, had him come up to the school next day, and all he said was, I want him to intern under you. And a week later, he brings me up a credential to cover the Chiefs with him.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And it started out like that. And, it was, I've been falling in love with it ever since. Look, a lot to talk to you about. First of all, the transition from Chris Broussard to your new co-host,
Kelvin Washington.
Kelvin Washington, how has that been for you?
It's been good, surprisingly good. Chris and I were together for 6 years. Known Chris for 25 years, professionally as a friend and all that. And so you never know. When you make a big change like that, we have a really successful show, and the Odd Couple really worked. And then to bring somebody different in and kind of stick to the same formula on the same show, you don't know if people are going to take to it, but the response has been tremendous. I'm actually very encouraged that, we just started in September and we're maybe 4.5 months into it. And the numbers are great. The social media stuff is good. The YouTube numbers, like all of the indicators. So we haven't had a drop at all.
That's good.
To be honest.
Before we get to the game, I do want to talk briefly. You're a associate professor at the University of South Carolina. So talk about that and what made you decide to kind of go back into it? I know you've done this for a couple of years now.
Yeah, up to year 7 of teaching at USC. And, I'm a mentor to a lot of people in this business.
Myself included.
Yes, and right. And, that's just something that is inside me because when I started my career very young, people looked out for me. They tried to help me along. I would never be where I'm at. I was a sports writer, a staff writer at the Daily News in New York. At that time in 1986 was the biggest paper in the country, 1.3 million circulation every day, during the week. And I got hired at 22 years old as a full-time staff writer. I would have never been able to make it without other people, looking out for me, mentoring me. So I said to myself at that time, if I ever get into a position where I could help other people with their careers, lead the way, and clear a path for them, I want to do that. And that's really how I got into teaching. I figured that was the next step, that not just people I know, but people who are in college who want to learn from somebody who's still a practicing journalist every day. My kids appreciate it. I see some of them are here, which is outstanding to see them, graduate and move on. And they come over and say, hey, professor, I'm working here or I'm working there. It's kind of cool. Or they tell a story on how I changed their lives or that moment, I made them be serious about this and dig in, for the long ride.
One of the things that I haven't told a lot of people this, but of course, you know this very well because you were involved with this. Now, you and I met, I think, 2018 in Atlanta, you and Chris Broussard, when we were down, and I got a chance to talk to you all on radio or then, but we exchanged numbers. A couple of years later, I had an issue, about with the Kansas City Chiefs during the whole COVID and the Black Lives Matter stuff,
Yep.
and where I was threatened with the, revocation of my credentials because they didn't like my line of questioning throughout the season. I'm like, I didn't ask questions any different than, Therese Taylor or anybody else did. And you had, you navigated me through what I need to do, which was get in contact with the NABJ, and, they reached out, the local KCABJ reached out and stuff. And, initially they were kind of going to go forward with it, but, I don't know who ended up making a call, but I remember the Chiefs Vice President of Communications at that time, Ted Cruz, decided to fall back, and they, but I know if it wasn't for your guidance, because you were the first call that I made, literally.
Because you knew I was going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
That we're not going to let them get away with it, and that you have to have the organizations behind you. You're doing your job, and they can't arbitrarily decide who gets to ask what questions. People can say no comment or they don't want to answer it, but they can't tell you what to ask, and so we can never be cool with that.
Yeah, and I think about it because when I think about our colleague Jim. Oh my gosh, I'm going
From where?
Used to be NFL Network that sued the league last year.
Jim Trotter.
Jim Trotter. God, I'm gonna get no.
Who retired? Now.
Yeah, he retired. But I think about, if they can, if the league can essentially fire him and shut him up, so to speak, the Chiefs and anyone else can kind of do that to us without really any pushback. Now he had stuff that he was allowed, that gave him an avenue to, pursue legal stuff. Some of us may not be able to.
Right.
And
he was able to have a settlement with the league and all that. And but I will say this, and that's why I say that working at Fox Sports Radio is one of the best situations for me, in that they respect what I do. I've been there 9 years, never been told what to say or what not to say. Never had a meeting with any of my bosses about anything. And you know me, I'm as tough as anybody around. I don't pull any punches. I'm going to be honest. And you need that if you're going to do this job the right way. You just got to be honest. And some people now, everybody wants to be coddled. Everybody wants to be liked. That's not what this is about. All you should want to be is respected. That's all I ask. You respect that I have a job to do. I do it professionally. You have a right to answer the question or not, but I have that right to ask what I need to ask. And that's all you can ask for. What
I tell players that I interview, and just when fans and people ask me about I tell them there's two things that I'm beholden to: the truth and facts. Outside of that, feelings don't come in, don't become a part of it.
And I always bring this example up because the media, it's not about feelings, okay? I will sit here and tell you that Barry Bonds was a bad guy to the media when he was a star in baseball, okay? Just didn't really give us the time of day, wasn't cooperative, all that. But Barry Bonds won 7 MVPs. Who voted for him for MVP?
The writers.
Okay. That's our job. It ain't about personalities or whatever, or to hold a grudge. If they wanted to, if there was a grudge and they wanted to, they could have said, well, we're not going to vote for you. We don't care what your numbers are. But you lose credibility if you do that. He was the best player by far. He was the MVP, and that's why he got the writers' votes. So that's what I respect about the writers, in that you cannot let feelings get in the way of your own credibility. Whether I like a guy or not, if he performs and he does the job, then I have to give him that respect on what he's done and give him his due and his credit.
Now, because you brought up Barry Bonds, we'll go straight to football after this. Is he a Hall of Famer? And because he was never found guilty, never caught taking HGH shares or whatever.
I voted for him every single time the 10 years he's on the ballot. But I also understand the writers who didn't want to. And here's the other thing.
But there was never any proof.
No, I got you. And that's why I voted for him. Okay? But here's the other thing. It's not like he's the only one. Mark McGwire didn't get in. Sammy Sosa didn't get in. Roger Clemens. These are all some of the greatest players who ever played the game.
Facts.
So it ain't just Barry Bonds, and it ain't like, oh, well, the writers are just holding a grudge against him because Roger Clemens didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay? So if Roger Clemens got in and he didn't get in, then I'll be with you.
Okay. All right. Well,
Is that fair?
That's fair. Looking at this weekend, we we know the last 2 years, you and I, when I've been an invited guest on your show, have talked about the Chiefs, and you felt like that, that I pick them because I'm a homer, which I'm not.
Okay.
But be that as it may, your thoughts on this weekend and really this season in general, where a lot of times, even though they've had the best record, they were kind of overlooked. Maybe not by you, but a lot of people were on Detroit because of the high power scoring, and Josh Allen because I guess the Bills did much better than what people thought they were before the season, and of course Baltimore with Lamar Jackson in the season that he's in. All that notwithstanding, injuries that the Chiefs suffered beginning of the season with two of their top wide receivers, their running back, and then being in the position that they are now. Give me your overall thoughts on the Chiefs in this season.
The Chiefs were lucky most of the year, got a lot of wins, 4 or 5, at least 4 wins. Probably had no business winning. They still wound up with the 15-2 record, which is great. The question you ask yourself is, I think the Chiefs are a boring team. There's no downfield play like they used to have, and obviously Tyreek Hill and whatnot. That seems to have changed. Last year, they weren't the best team in the league until they actually won the Super Bowl. People questioned them the whole way through. Oh, they dropped the pat balls. The receivers are no good. We heard everything in the book. And then, you won a Super Bowl and you crown them. This year is similar. How can you be 15-2 and your quarterback not be up for MVP, All-Pro, didn't even make the Pro Bowl? I think that's shocking. That you could be. No, I do. I really think that have a team that's 15-2, the quarterback usually.
No, I don't agree. And I tell you, so when that came out, and of course Joe Burrow was the 31.
Right.
I told people because I literally had this conversation with Patrick Mahomes in the barbershop. That man, Pro Bowl and come sit down with me on radio. Like, yeah, he said, Darren, if I'm sitting down with you at the Pro Bowl, or Radio Row, that means I'm not in the Super Bowl.
But that let me tell you this. I hear that. When you're playing during the regular season, you could say that after the fact, you know what I mean, when you make it. But you can't tell me Patrick Mahomes wants 26 touchdowns and 14 picks in his or whatever the number is. Like when you're playing.
Oh, I'm not saying that he was worthy of a Pro Bowl. But the 15-2, yeah.
But I'm saying when you're playing during the season, you can always say, well, I don't care about that, so I just want to get to the Super Bowl. That sounds good, but there's no way he wants to play at that level. The same way that when Lamar's playing, he's like, well, I don't care about the Super Bowl. I just want to win the MVP. He's just playing, and the numbers are good, and then he winds up losing. Can he help if Mark Andrews can't catch a 2-point conversion? You know what I mean? Like, no, I mean, like, okay, well, Lamar didn't do it again. Okay, we got it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when the season is playing, you don't know what's going to happen or if you're going to make the Super Bowl. You just want to play the best football, and he was not one of the 3 best quarterbacks.
No, I don't disagree.
In the AFC, was he?
No, but just for clarification, the question we had was about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't recent, but it was a comment that he told me in the barbershop years ago that this was the first time. I think it's the first time they won the Super Bowl, and we talked about it.
Right.
And he said, well, then if I'm on Radio Row, whatever during the time, that means I'm not in the Super Bowl. He said so. He said, no offense. He said my goal process is not the Pro Bowl. Is the Super Bowl.
No,
so that's
I get that.
That's what
I get that.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying it's shocking that you could be 15-2.
Yeah. If the team was somehow 17-0, then and he didn't make it, but
still 15-2. I don't know if you could get better than that and not and not be. I mean, Joe Burrow, they didn't make the playoffs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't make, and Joe Burrow still got Pro Bowl because his numbers were so good. You know what I mean?
Looking at this game, obviously Saquon is the huge difference maker between this team versus 2 years ago. How do you see the game unfolding on Sunday, and who you picking to win?
I got the Eagles to win.
I should have known.
You know that. Up front, both offensive and defensive line. You saw what they've done all year. It's incredible. Saquon is a difference maker, and if he can run the football and be effective and break off a run or two, it's going to be hard. And this is the ironic. This is what I'm painting a scenario. The Chiefs lose 27-24.
You think going to be that low scoring?
27-20. That's what I got. because run the ball, eat up clock, not a lot of possessions. I think that's the game if you're the Eagles you want to do, right? You don't want to get in a shootout. And number two, I have the Chiefs having a chance to tie the game, and for once they miss a field goal. So finally, like the
Harrison Butker.
well, I'm just
okay.
all of them go this way, or maybe it hits the upright and instead bounces out instead of bounces in like we've seen for them.
So
That's
you
why.
so you don't think the power of Taylor Swift will elevate that
No.
ball over to
She has nothing to do with it.
Well, see, that's probably the smart one. The Chief said the smart thing you said. 27-24.
That's me. 27-24.
All right, Rob Parker, appreciate your time very much, man.
Bro, always.
I guess I'll be on your show later on this week.
Yeah, we'll try to get you in. I'm gonna talk to Rob G, our producer, right now.
All right, man. Sounds
Okay.
good. All right, we'll be back after this time out, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.